Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we are talking about the Golden State Warriors. These are my season preview and prediction, what I expect from this team. And I expect this team to be a top 4 seed in the Western Conference, a team that should be championship or bust. And I want to hear your opinions down below in the comment section before we start today's video. What do you guys think of this team? What do you think their record is going to be and why? So let's get right into today's video. And if you guys want to support independent NBA journalism, hit that like and subscribe button. Subscribing would mean the world to me as we're on the way to 20,000. So let's get right into this Warriors squad. And of course, we can all talk about how they went 44-38, lost in the second round. And was it a disappointing year? Yeah, I mean, in terms of last year or the year before they won a championship. But the current roster, which we have talked about before, Chris Paul is expected to start. And right now, one of the lineups that they could do is Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green as the starting lineup, with Kevon Looney probably being the sixth man. Then you have Gary Payton II, Jonathan Kuminga as probably your 8-man rotation. Then 9th man Dario Saric, 10th guy probably Corey Joseph, and then you mix in Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and Rudy Gay, and then you break the glass guy is probably Trace Jackson Davis or Jace Johnson. I don't know if Jace Johnson will make the team. Rodney McGruder is also trying out for the team, and so is Jerome Robinson. And they have two-ways with Lester Quinones and Usman Garuba on there. So not a bad squad. You know, they were able to get Chris Paul from the Wizards in that deal. Dario Saric was signed to a 1-year deal. He's going to be a better version of Nemanja Bjelica. Brandon Podziemski's like Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart mixed together. Trace Jackson Davis is, you know, a center that they drafted in the second round, who they had a first-round grade on. And Mike Dunleavy took over as, you know, the guy in charge. And they gave Draymond Green that 4-year, $100 million deal. Yes, this is, you know, a big offseason for the Dubs, not only because they got themselves CP3, but they moved on from Bob Myers, and they've abandoned their two-track approach for the most part, leaning even more on their veterans. Klay, Steph, Thompson. Why did I say it like that? Klay, Steph, Green, Looney, Wiggins, Gary Payton II, Rudy Gay, Rodney McGruder. This is a team that struggled to get out of the first round last spring, and I think they rebuilt to go on a deeper run. Now, will they be able to achieve that deeper run? That's for you guys to decide and you guys to tell me. But I do think this is a fun team that has a lot of potential and could be really, really good to watch this year. Now, it's all a matter of, can they put it together? Will they be able to do it as in years past? This is a team that...
I do think this Golden State Warriors team is like reminiscent of the Warriors squad that made it to the finals a few seasons ago. There's a good mix of young and old talent. And I think last year they realized that the two timelines wasn't going to work. And it's no offense, like the two timelines was a good thought. But the problem was that they did not have a plan in place to make sure that those guys could properly develop. And I think we saw, especially with Jonathan Kuminga, I mean, the only guy that they've been able to play in the playoffs out of the young guys is Moses Moody, because Jonathan Kuminga and James Wiseman's play styles didn't translate to wins in the playoffs, as of right now at least. So, you know for a fact right there, Golden State needed more veterans, people who knew how to play winning basketball, who knew how to play selfless, and that they weren't going to be a detriment to the team. I think it's the big thing right here, that they were looking for guys who knew their roles and knew their places in comparison to guys with potential. So for me, when I look at this, I just look at a roster with a lot more veterans, with a lot more, you know, guys who know how to make decisions. So for me, I think that's why this roster feels, at least in my mind, a lot, I guess you would say, deeper, a lot more talent that can be harnessed. So I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say. And if you guys are as excited as I am for this year's upcoming Warriors, I mean, especially with Chris Paul, having Chris Paul is nothing to sweat at in terms of having someone who can be that secondary playmaker and create for your teammates and be able to be the quote-unquote leader for the second unit. That definitely something that the Golden State Warriors have not had since, I mean, Sean Livingston, or what was it, Leonard Barbosa, was it? Yeah. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. And why? As I'm a huge fan of this team. Like, in terms of just from a fan's perspective, like, I'm not actually a Golden State Warriors fan at all. Like, my allegiance is not at all with the Warriors. Just for people to know, there is no bias here towards the Warriors. And because, like, personally, I actually have nothing towards them, but I think Steve Kerr and these guys, they're doing a good job. I know people are going to be like, well, Draymond Green just sprained his ankle. Unless this becomes like a LaMelo Ball ankle issue where it's just recurring all season long and we just don't know what to do. So now in my mind, I really just think that they're in a place that they're going to be able to harness the young players, harness the old players, and create a system that, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors aren't a top 3 seed, aren't a 50-win-plus team. It's either that means their second unit sucks or they had injuries. But just to think about it, because Chris Paul's supposedly starting, and we're assuming that Dre and Kevon Looney are starting. So the starting line is probably going to be Klay ceremonially, because they probably will just start Chris Paul for like 2 minutes. And we talked about this earlier in the video. And then have, whoever come in. But I think starting lineup, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, 6th man Andrew Wiggins. And then you immediately sub in Andrew Wiggins. But I could be wrong and they start Dre and have Kevon Looney as the 6th man. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section before we continue today's video. I definitely think it's at least curious to see how this is all playing out, because I've always been a fan of what the Warriors have been able to do, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, okay? Maybe I'm wrong, and the Warriors aren't that good, but I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, guys.